check. Hello. Hello. Check.
Ladies and gentlemen, we announce the arrival of our chief guest, Mr. Subhanshu. A guest of honor, Mr. Danielson. लेते हैं सुंदर ही सुंदर
on Marketing ICM 2015 Contemporary Trends and Challenges Across the Globe. The changing face of marketing has led to significant developments in the field. While adapting to this quick tempo of change, a company's marketing effort must reflect an internal constancy of purpose and an external consistency of its image. For Optus Conference aims to provide an exposure to what the best of the brains from industry and academia think about this very dynamic IIS University. Dr. Rakhi Gupta, Registrar, the IIS University. Our chief guest, Mr. Sudhanshu Watts.
Sutanshu Vats, Group CEO, Viacom. Sri Daniel Sandelius, Head Ericsson Manufacturing Unit India, the guest of honor. Professor Raj S. Dhankar, Vice Chancellor, Ansar University, Gurgaon, the keynote speaker, resource persons, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a different day today when we have so many lead figures from the industry present to bless the IIS University students, staff and other delegates. I extend a very hearty welcome to all of you when we organize a two-day International Conference on Marketing 2015 on contemporary trends and challenges across the globe. The IIS University is not a very old phenomenon in the educational arena of Rajasthan. We started at the International College for Girls in 1995 with just 65 girls and 7 staff members. We were accredited A+ by NEC. The UGC granted us the status of an autonomous college, and in 2009 the Ministry of Human Resource Development Government of India conferred the status of a deemed to be university on this college. The review committee constituted by the MHRD to oversee the working and functioning of various deemed universities categorized this university under category A and considered it to be one of the premier universities working diligently to impart women education. There are only 38 deemed to be universities under category A. The heart of any business success lies in its marketing, and it has always been an indispensable act of business world. Marketing in the 21st century is very different from its early beginnings. Today's marketeers have more choices in terms of support, media opportunities and communications. Evolving social, demographic and technological paradigms are posing new opportunities and challenges to the marketing professionals and analysts. This conference, which begins today, aims to bring together academicians, industry experts, consultants and scholars from all over to interact and bring forth a fresh perspective to current developments and emerging challenges in the field. The conference will certainly provide an opportunity to students and research scholars to understand a range of complex contemporary issues related to marketing. I'm sure that 2 days of the deliberations will benefit all the resource persons, delegates and students. On behalf of the IIS University and its 4,800 students drawn from 22 states of the country, I once again extend a hearty welcome to all of you and wish this conference a success. Thank you very much and welcome.
Commerce and Management, the IIS University, and convener ICM 2015 to acquaint the audience with the aims and objectives of the conference.
Namaskar. Honorable Vice Chancellor, the IIS University, Dr. Ashok Gupta, and Chairperson of the event, Chief Guest, Mr. Sudhanshu Vats, Guest of Honor, Mr. Daniel Sandler, Keynote Speaker, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Ansel University, Professor Rajesh Dhankar, Dr. Rakhi Gupta, Registrar, the IIS University, Dr. Ruchi Jain, Organizing Secretary of this event, Professor K. Sharma, Advisor, IIS University, Professor Venkateswar Lu, Osmania University, Hyderabad, Resource Person Mukesh Chaturvedi, Dr. Subhash Garg, Resource Person Dr. and Professor N.K. Jain, the Dean Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, Resource Persons, guests, students, participants. On behalf of the IIS University, I welcome you all on this two-day international conference on Marketing 2015 on contemporary trends, challenges across the globe. The International Conference on Marketing 2015 aims at critically analyzing and developing an in-depth understanding of dynamic and ever-evolving marketing trends. It aims to bring together academicians, industrial experts, consultants and scholars from all over the world to interact and exchange views so as to bring forth a fresh perspective to current developments and emerging challenges in the field of marketing for the benefit of the students of commerce and management and research scholars. The following issues shall be addressed in the conference: creating knowledge and understanding of a range of more complex contemporary issues relating to marketing, increasing subject-specific practical skills to understand marketing in a broader context, and enhancing efficiency in research and development in the field of marketing. The conference shall create a forum where eminent industrialists, professionals and academicians will lend fresh inputs to handle complex situations facing the dynamic field of marketing management through collaborative learning. I hope the conference will be able to achieve all its aims and objectives. Thank you.
Mr. Daniel Sundalis. Mr. Sundalis currently is the head, Ericsson Manufacturing Unit, Jaipur. Ericsson is a world-leading provider of communications technology and services. The Ericsson supply site Jaipur was India's first such telecom equipment site, set up in 1994 at Kokas, Jaipur. Mr. Sundalis started his stint with Ericsson AB, Katrineholm, Sweden in 1996. His first role at Ericsson was of a team leader, system analysis. As the site head, Mr. Sundalis manages unit's cost in an efficient manner and secures that the invested capital is utilized in the best possible way. He is also responsible to manage the unit's human resources by creating and leading an effective team and encouraging individual competence development. Under his able leadership, Sundalis is also the part of Region India's core.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Once again, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good to be here. It was a long time since I was sitting in the school bench, but being here feels like I'm a student again. And every day in my work, I feel that I'm like a student, learning a lot of new things. Today, I will talk about our company. I will talk about how to survive in a dynamic and evolving world. And I would say that there is a lot of challenges for the companies today. And especially, I will address our company, because the speed of change is so high. And it's not only for the company, it's also for the individuals, the employees who is working in the company. And that also I want you to think about, because you need to have this kind of hunger to learn and develop every day in your life. First, my apologies. I will not be able to stay here the full day today, as I have a flight to catch. I'm going to Delhi in the afternoon. I have a flight in the evening going to London, San Francisco, San Jose. I'm changing my position from July this summer, and I will be into a VP position, moving in, taking responsible for Ericsson's new next generation products into IP, cloud, IPTV, and media delivery. So, I have been here in India for quite a long time, 6 years. And my task here in India has been to gear up with a strategy, Make in India, for our company. And as you heard by the introduction of me, we have a factory here in Jaipur. But we are also gearing up with a second manufacturing unit, an export hub out from India. And our ambition with India is that we will catering 50% of the global volumes out of India by 2020. And we're looking into to gear up with the localization of material for these products from 10% today up to 80%. And we are also aiming to double up the repair volumes to become the second largest repair center for Ericsson globally, sitting here in India. So, let's check a little bit what you know about my company, because we are in a lot of change, and to have a strong brand and to know the perception of the company is so important. I think most of you have a smartphone, right? Do you have that with you? How many of you has an Ericsson phone? Anyone? No, I don't think so. We are not into that business anymore. But many people believe that we are into handset and the mobile devices. We are not. We stopped that a few years ago. And at that time, it was just a joint venture with Sony. So, what we are into today, I will give you just an example. Every one of you has a smartphone. If you take that smartphone, take a nice photo of me here, and then you post that in any of the social media, you create some traffic. 50% of the global traffic in LTE, LTE is 4G, is passing through Ericsson's network. 50% of the subscribers globally are supported by Ericsson. 20% of all subscribers are managed by Ericsson. So we are a manufacturer, we are delivering physical equipment, but we are also a service company. Service company in terms that we are managing the customer's network. But we are also into technology leadership. That is our brand today. As a technology leader, we drive the change into the telecom. And today we have 35,000 patents. We have more than 25,000 resources working in R&D. And we spend roughly $5 billion year over year into R&D. So our brand is very much connected into leading mobility. by infrastructure company, by service company, and by technology leadership. On top of that, we are present in 180 countries. We have survived 138 years. We have been here in India for more than 100 years. We started 1876 as a small repair shop in Stockholm, Sweden. And over the years, we have been the prime driver in wireline, 2G, 3G, LTE, and globally now 5G is knocking on the door. What challenge do we see as a company? I will just give you an example of this speed of change. It took 100 years to connect 1 billion households with wireline. It took 10 years to connect 5 billion wireless devices. And in coming 5 years, we will have 50 billion connected devices. That means that we're moving into a network society for industry, for learning education, for next generation work life, for citizens, for everything. The traditional players in telecom, IT, software, and new-born fancy companies are now competing to become the strongest ICT player, information communication technology player into this transformation. When we talk about transformation, let me give you another example of transformation. In beginning, you know, electricity was used for getting light, just to lighten up a dark room. If you look around in this room or in your home, this electricity is used for so many things today. We are in the same beginning of these connected devices. Ericsson has to transform from a traditional telecom equipment manufacturer to an ECT player to keep our leading position for the future. And our brand needs to be changed. From being connected to leading mobility into leading transformation. We have to increase our visibility. Ericsson needs to increase their visibility, strengthen our brand as an ECT player. Today we are on ranking 115 as a global brand, and we need to be among the top 50. We need to be seen as an ICT transformation partner for our customer, and we need to make sure that the partner wants to be seen with us, and also to attract talent people, resources like you, but also to retain our talent resources. For me, I have to change with the company. 5 years ago, most of our employees were sitting in Sweden. Today, Ericsson has most of their resources in India. Moving into the network society, I'm moving into Silicon Valley, looking into what is coming 2020, the next generation products, trying to be a part of that. I need to be curious, I need to be on show, I need to be like a child, like you, hungry to learn new things, because we want to stay in the leading position as a company, as an ICT player. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now have the privilege to welcome our chief guest for the conference, Mr. Sudhanshu Vats. Mr. Vats is in film entertainment. In the last 2 years, he has successfully steered the group into profitable growth phase while expanding the channel network, driving content-led cinema and entering experiential entertainment through live events across genres. A Hindustan Unilever veteran, Mr. Vats has spent about 20 years with Unilever and has worked with them in various sales and marketing and general management roles across different categories. During his tenure, he shaped many popular household brands, most notably Lipton, Vim, Wheel, Surf, Rin of Indian Broadcasting Foundation, Director on the Board of Broadcast Audience Research Council, and Chairman of the National Media and Entertainment Committee of CI.
Thank you. It's always a little embarrassing when these things are read out about you. Thank you so much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Ashok Gupta, Professor M.K. Sharma, Mr. Daniel Sandalis, Professor Raj Khankar, Dr. Rakhi Gupta, Dr. Ruchi Jain, esteemed guests, my young friends, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed my pleasure to be with you here and speak to you on this topic which you've chosen. I think it's a very interesting topic on contemporary trends and challenges across the globe on marketing. But before I begin, a small context to Jaipur, Rajasthan, and to my association. So Rajasthan is very dear to my heart. It is a place where I was born. I was born in Kota in Rajasthan. It is a place where I started my education, again, in Kota, in a school called St. Paul's. It is a place where I started my professional career. So I started with Hindustan Lever way back in 1991, and I was posted in Jaipur as a salesman at that point in time. So you start right from the brass tacks. I remember, working the lanes and by-lanes of Jaipur, traveling to Sikar, to Jhunjhunu, on some of those, buses and even those jeeps as you sit there. So it's got a very special place in my heart. I've got friends and lots of my family here in both in Rajasthan and particularly in Jaipur. So thank you for inviting me. It's indeed my pleasure to be with you here. The second thing is, as Dr. Gupta said, I think it's an important milestone for IIS. You completed 5 years as a university, but more importantly, the institute is now about 20 years old from the original journey. It's a very important milestone because I personally feel education is the most important thing, and it is by far the most transformative part of any country or any society. I think it's education which transforms society, which transforms individuals. It gives you opportunity, and I personally have been a beneficiary of quality education in this country. I want to first start by giving you a few stories, and then I will talk about a couple of points. It's also very interesting that I follow, Daniel Santos, the person who actually, Ericsson, as he rightly said, carries a lot of the stuff which we do in media. So there is, you will not be seeing those lovely videos, you will not be seeing all those things if you didn't have that technology. And it's in some ways, great that I'm following him to talk to you about marketing. Let me start by giving you a few stories actually. So this is, we go back about 5 years, about 2010, At that point in time, amongst my various roles in Hindustan Unilever, I used to globally look after a brand called Rin. So, which is basically internally called platform. The platform is called Radiant. And the brand is called Rin in India. It's got different names across the world. The brand for its functional delivery stands for what is called, basically it is to deliver whiteness. So, if you remember going back to some of the famous ads of Rin, ki uski kameez, meri kameez se safed kaise. So, 1989 kind of ads, which were very functional advertising, which was basically about talking about how we can give whites. I think from there we've gone on to a journey where we were looking at a more emotional platform as to look at how do you tug at the real issue which is there in the society. And then we had basically come out with an idea called Time to Shine. So the idea was called Time to Shine. And simply put, the idea was, it is my time to shine, because in the developed world, particularly in the developing world, there was a huge population which was coming up and who wanted to move ahead, who were hungry, who were ambitious, who were committed, hardworking, and wanted to get ahead. And at that point in time, we basically developed an idea and do an advertisement in India. Became quite popular. I think some of you may have seen it as youngsters. Basically, it was the cycle ads. Let me narrate the ad for you. Basically, it is a crossing, a classic crossing in India where there's a lot of traffic. There are all kinds of vehicles and which are there at the crossing. And you have a gentleman sitting in this posh car, high-end car, and you have a boy who's come in cycling and was also stopped at the traffic signal. And basically, the boy looks keenly at this gentleman in the car. The young boy is curious, as Daniel very rightly said. Kids and youngsters are curious, and that's something which we need to retain. Curiosity. So he's very curious, he's peeping into the car, he's looking at the guy, and so on and so forth. And I think he's perhaps sort of imagining things rather than sort of trying to disturb him. But this man is, which happens at times, which is slightly sad, but does happen. He's a little bit more arrogant, and he says, "What the hell? What are you doing?" So he turns around and says, "Kahan se chale aate hain?" So basically, so the boy, sort of looks at him, and he basically he understands that this guy is talking to me derogatorily, saying, "Kahan se chale aate hain?" But his response is amazing. His response is, you see him sort of, he's in the school uniform. He's now sort of taking his shirt properly. He's putting his, pen, whatever he's carrying in this thing, and he sort of dresses up, or sits almost upright on the bicycle which he's on, and he says, "Uncle, do pahiyon ka farak hai, aa jayenge." So basically, he refers to you are sitting on four wheels. That we will get. I think the reason I narrated this story to you is not necessarily about the ad, but I think then what we did is, and that's why I want to bring it to the topic of today, is we said that does this thing resonate? So if you look at it, it's a very typical India scenario, right? There is that traffic, there is this entire disparity in incomes, there is a little bit of that attitude, hierarchy which we have in our society. So does this travel the globe is what our idea was then in marketing. And therefore what we did is, basically we then carried this research to understand what are the triggers and what happens in different parts of the world. So we went to Thailand, we went to Vietnam, we went to Indonesia, we went to South Africa, we went to Nigeria, we went to Brazil, we went to Colombia. So you can look at different parts of the world, quite spread out. So there is in Africa here, there are parts of Asia, there's of course Latin America, but largely developing world footprint if you look at it. So it's a developing world footprint. And lo and behold, as we did this research, and I personally traveled, so doing the research, talking to youngsters, talking to mothers, talking to parents who are very ambitious, and sort of, everywhere, whether we were sitting in Soweto in South Africa, or we were sitting in some colony in Sao Paulo, or we were sitting in Jakarta in some place, the idea continuously resonated, country after country, and basically, therefore, this brings me to the point that as we are preparing ourselves as marketeers, and therefore your topic is also very apt, the world is indeed becoming global. It is a very global world, and we do need to have a mindset which is very global, but we also need to at the same time continue to have sensibilities which are local. So in a manner of speaking, this is the first message I wanted to give to you, and I want to sort of enter my 5 messages which I want to give to you today. The first message I want to give to you is consumer, my young friend, moving forward, is global. And what I mean by global is this consumer is global because there are several things which are common for the consumer or for the people we are addressing, but there are obviously local sensibilities, and we cannot and should not ever underestimate the local sensibilities. capabilities as well. But not forget that some of the thoughts are some of the ideas are global, some of the key needs, human needs are global, some of the human values are very, very global. So I think in balancing this global and local is our first challenge, and in some ways I would say the new consumer is global. So that's the first message I wanted to leave you with. The second message I wanted to leave you with is a message which of course again follows from what Mr. Daniel Sanders was talking about. He talked about, you know, the network connectivity as to how many devices were connected. 1 billion took about 100 years, if I remember right, as you said, sir. And then about, you know, next 5 billion took whatever, 2 years. And now you're talking of, you know, maybe 50 billion in another 4 to 5 years. So that's the pace at which connectivity is happening. But at the same time, if you look at it, you know, it's the same thing, which is as this connectivity is happening, there is more and more data which is coming up. So one of my colleagues told me a new term called exabytes now. So exabyte is actually 1 billion gigabytes. So 1 billion gigabytes is what constitutes an exabyte. And I'm told in last year, as per one IBM study, we basically generated close to 3 exabytes, which is roughly in last 2 years itself, the world has generated 90% of the data which was generated before this period in the known history of humankind. So you can imagine the amount of data which is continuously getting generated. It's not that data was not there when I started off as, you know, a brand manager about 25 years back or even earlier. I think data always existed, but what has happened is the deluge of data, and the amount of data which is available today is enormous. Now this poses both an opportunity and a challenge. It's an opportunity because there is so much data. You can perhaps look at data, marketing, which has always been, in my judgment, an art and a science, may perhaps become more science and a little bit less art, but I think that's fine. But I think the other challenge it poses for youngsters now is, I think, remember that while there is a lot of this data with you, one thing to ask is, we have this data, but are we converting this data into information? Or is it just some data floating around? That's first stage. After we have converted some of this data into information, do we have some knowledge about this information? So there is data at one end, then there is information, and then there is, do you have some knowledge? Because I'm saying, you know, information is then there's a lot of information, but what do you know? What is the knowledge about it? And finally, are you converting this knowledge into insights? So I think the challenge of now is because you get swarmed with this data, is this, can you convert this data to first information? Is there some knowledge out of that information? And finally, can you convert this knowledge into some insights? Because what we work with as marketeers or as professionals are insights. What we need are insights. We don't need, so I think the point is, so that's the piece I wanted to leave you with data. So, but it's a reality. There is lots of data. If you look at a media organization like Netflix now, I think the amount of data they have used to make some of their the current programming is enormous, because they know almost everything. By the way, moving forward, almost everything is known about us because we are totally connected, and as Mr. Ellis will tell you later on, that some of these guys know everything. Where are you going? Where are you? What are you using? What media are you tracking? So I think that's the new world we are in. So the second message I want to leave you with is, data is going to grow. Our ability to learn and use data and convert data to insight is extremely important. I think the third message is a very simple one. I think the third message is, in the new world, the world is all about innovation. And in a manner about not only innovation, but actually innovation and disruption. So I think as we move forward, we need to find ways in which we will be able to innovate. Now once again, in order to innovate, we need to, in the new world, I think innovation is not about having innovation cells inside of the company or having innovation function. It has to go beyond that. I think the innovation in today's day and age is about partnering. It's about looking at what we can do with other people. Because remember, in 2015 or in the years to come, the adage that each of us is smarter than one of us is going to come true more than it has ever been. Because it's not that one person knows all the answers. It's a combination of people coming together, which is extremely critical. And I think that's when they come together and they're able to do some of these things, which is important. I think when I talk of media now, if you look at the amount of partnering which we do, so I think if you see some of the channels which he spoke about when I walked in, whether you're talking about MTV, whether you're talking about Colors, or whether you're seeing some of these good films like Queen, which we've done or something. Has Viacom 18 done everything? No, Viacom 18 has not done everything. What if Viacom 18 has partnered with the right set of people? So in case of film, if you look at it, we partner with the right director. The director in turn has a team, which then partners or has basically the actors. All along we are partnering with technology firms. Or we are partnering with basically telecom operators. So I think there is that piece which has to continuously remain. And I think your ability to partner and therefore do things which are innovative, which becomes important. Moving ahead, I think we will also see lot more open innovation, as we call it, and I think that's going to become important. So it's not about one person being able to innovate, but it's about several organizations, not only one organization, several organizations coming together and innovating. So innovation continues to remain important, if not is more important, but how we innovate is going to define things as we go forward and as we become successful. I think the fourth piece I wanted to talk about is actually, while we do all of these, one thing which is unlikely to change is the ability to understand the consumer and the user. So in all of this, the consumer and the user and the consumer and user experience is going to become even more important. And this brings me to one of the phenomena which all of you are aware of. If you look at this company called Apple, the reason Apple is successful is not because they have perhaps done the things the first. So if you look at their first breakthrough idea about 10, 12 years back is this concept of iPod, if you remember. Nowadays people don't even remember iPod because the music functionality has come onto the phone. But iPod was not invented by them. There was some such, it was existing. The thought was existing. But the difference they made about is their ability of understanding of the human nature, about making the user experience wonderful. It's about bringing art and design into the way they design things, into how easily you can navigate that piece that defines them. So thereafter, whether it's iPod, it's iPad, it's iPhone, all of that, it's Macs or whatever, they're basically, where they excel in is their ability to understand and make the user experience outstanding. And I think that's the piece, and that's what keeps growing them. It's not that they don't have competition, they continuously have competition. They basically, everybody else is manufacturing phones. Some of them are manufacturing phones with equivalent features, sometimes even better features. But the question is that they have developed this ecosystem, they've understood their consumer very well, they've also sort of brought this entire iOS system, which is something which reads within itself, which helps them go. So I think the importance of understanding the consumer, how do we do things, is very important. So for marketers, we've got to get to brass tacks to understand how do people do what they do. Whether it is this, or it's a more mundane thing like washing our dishes, or cleaning our clothes. I think it's not very different. I think it's about understanding some of these things and then giving those innovations and basically getting the consumer experience right and building it with innovation. Finally, it would be inappropriate for me to sign off without giving you the fifth message, which I think is a very important message. Marketers of today, and maybe in the past as well, but even more so today, do not stop and should not stop at rational and emotional benefits. Brands are no longer going to be built by rational and emotional benefits. Brands are going to be built for other ones which not only offer rational emotional benefits, but are a force of do good in the society. So I think it's our ability to build the social mission for any brand which we are building, which is extremely important. And I think because as we go forward, it's not only about us growing our brands, but it's about the role the brand plays in that society. And how can it do its own role, in its own share, in a small way, to improve the society or improve the people we live with. And there are many examples of that, but again, I would like to quote a few examples from Unilever and an example from Viacom now. So I think if you look at the work which is being done on Lifebuoy Swasth Chetna, so Lifebuoy at one level is a soap, right? It's a soap which has been around for 100 years. Soap which sort of helps you wash your hands. But I think if you take it to the next level, it's a soap which lets you remain healthy. So I think that's the next. So I think if you remember that jingle, which is a very famous jingle, Tandurusthi ki raksha karta hai Lifebuoy. So it's about health. But it's not only about health. It's, I think, moving forward, it's our ability of just by simple act of washing hands, your ability to reduce the incidence of diarrhea and therefore build a society which is more healthy and hopefully more productive is what takes it to the next level. Similarly, the example of Shakti or Shakti Amma, where you basically are taking a simple thing. What is the starting point which you want? You actually want your products to reach deep rural. I think that's the starting point. That's the rational reason for doing it. But what have you ended up doing there is giving employment to the deprived society, to actually to women in far-flung villages, and basically giving them that small microfinance which allows them to come out of that vicious cycle of poverty, to start generating, getting into a virtuous cycle where they generate a little bit of their own income, they get a little bit more respect in the society, and that's how the movement grows. If you look at even our stuff which we do with MTV Act, so the lot of work which MTV does with the youngsters is first to understand the youngsters. It's about the fundamentals which about what the youngsters want, not only in India, across the world. And once again, I think as Mr. Daniel Sanders spoken about, it's about curiosity, it's about integrity, it's about not being judgmental, it's about not being boring. So I think some of the things are common. But how do we use these insights to then convey issues and tackle things which are basically under MTV Act? So therefore, in the new world, how are you not being taken for a ride by our web? So I think if you look at some of the stuff which we've done on MTV Web, it's basically about in an entertaining fashion, in a way. So it's entertaining. It's something which we do, but it's also a message which we are sending across as to what you should be doing and not be doing when you're talking of web and the new digital ecosystem. So I just like to summarize the 5 things I talked about. Remember, the new consumer is local. He or she is global, but local as well. So you need a global mindset and a local sensitivity. Data is very, very important, but convert data into useful information, knowledge, and therefore insight. Innovation is a new paradigm. It's more important in the new society than it was ever, but the way we will innovate has to evolve very rapidly. Partnering in this space is extremely important, eventually leading to more and more open innovation. Consumer centricity, basically understanding your consumer deeply is something which is important. And finally, we can't do marketing if we are not able to become a force of good for the society as well. So for us to be successful marketers, we need to be a force of good for the society. Without taking too much of your time, I'd like to thank you once again for inviting me. I hope you have 2 wonderful days. Some really good sessions I've seen which have been lined up, lovely speakers. So have a great time, and it is always basically a desire once you start working and you're old foggy like me, to be back sitting in your place, doing a lot of this interesting work as a student in universities and in colleges. And I think I'd like to just sign off by one innovation which I saw here. I've been to colleges where there are no uniforms, or at best there are some attempted uniforms for the students who come in. I think this is the first time I'm coming to a university where I saw the professors and lecturers who are in the uniforms. So I think all of you are wearing wonderful So I think we keep evolving. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and your patience. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir, for such an encouraging and enriching address. As a token of our heartfelt gratitude, which would serve as a fond remembrance, I request Dr. Rakhi Gupta to present a memento to Mr. Sudhanshu Vats. Thank you, ma'am. I request Professor M.K. Sharma to present a token of our appreciation to Mr. Daniel Sanders. Thank you, sir. I request Dr. Ruchi Jain to extend a memento to our keynote speaker, Professor Raj S. Dhankar. Thank you, ma'am. I request the volunteers to escort the dignitaries on the dais to their seats as we're about to commence with the keynote session.